Hi, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar. My name is Karel van Heulen. I'm product manager at Televic Conference. And today I'm very excited to bring you our webinar about Confidea G4 wireless system with the first introduction of the new Confidea GO G4. Before we start with the presentation, as usual, just a little housekeeping. So maybe you can let me know if you can hear and see me. You can chat in the chat on the right side. Normally on the left side, you will see the presentation or myself. If you can give me a quick heads up if everything is all right. Okay. Thank you. So, if you would have any questions during the session, you can ask them in the questions tab. So please don't put them in the chat, put them in the questions tab, so that after this presentation of this webinar, we can go through all your questions and try to answer them as most of them as much as possible. Okay, so without any further ado, I will change to the presentation. And let's go through the entire presentation. So the webinar will take around 45 minutes. As I said, we'll have a presentation of 30 minutes, and then we'll have another 50 minutes for your questions. All right. So what we will see is just an overview, again, of the Confidea G4 product range, including its new little brother, the Confidea GO. We'll go a little bit deeper into the differences between the Confidea FLEX and the Confidea GO. And at the end of the webinar, we'll give you a short presentation or a demonstration with the Confidea 360 software. Okay, so first of all, our Confidea G4 wireless system. Why is the best system on the market for you or your customers? Well, in general, we try to make meetings and deploying and setting up meetings as easy as possible. So it's about very free wireless systems, having it set up in a very easy way. Secondly, also having the most flexible system on the market. Flexible not only in, let's say, in terms of features, but also in different use cases. For example, if you have multi-purpose rooms that have a layout that changes often, or if you have, let's say, a very large room where you need to extend your setup with different access points. Sometimes you want also to have a combination of a wired system and a wireless system in one room. And also with the Confidea G4, that's another issue. But next to the, let's say, easy deployment and the flexibility, of course, also security is becoming more and more important. So our G4 is built for security, and we'll go a little bit deeper on that later in this presentation. And of course, there is no wireless system without batteries. And also on the level of battery management, we made sure that we have made some good improvements. Okay. So let's go to the overview of the entire product range. So well, up till now, we had, of course, our Confidea FLEX G4, our access point and the charging tray, which allows us to have 10 batteries charged at the same time. Now we can extend the product family with a newest family member, and that's the Confidea GO G4. It's the little brother. That means it does not have the interactive display like the Flex, but it does have the same look and feel. It has all the features and benefits of the Confidea G4 family, but of course it is limited to discussions, so you don't have the possibility for future upselling towards voting interpretation or badge identification. I will go a little bit deeper later on the differences, but just I'm very happy to introduce that we will shortly make the Confidea GO available on the market. Let's have a deeper look on the access points. So the Confidea WAP G4. We have made it very subtle, and means it has a small form factor. It only has a status LED to show the status and a small unit discovery button to make sure that you can easily pair the units, Flex or Go, with this access point. On the back side, you will have connectivity for example, first of all, the LAN port to make your configurations on the access point. It has also a PoE capability, so you can power the units through this port. Next to the LAN port, we do have two Plexus ports. So you can connect this access point towards a wired Plexus system. So that means that, for example, if you have a wired system and you want to extend it with wireless units, that's easily possible. Or if you want to have interpretation combined with your wireless setup, you can easily connect interpreter desks from your Plexus network towards this access point through this Plexus ports. Next to that, we do have the USB connectivity, so for external USB recording. And then we do have a reset button to make sure that you can go back to the factory settings. The Dante port, that makes it possible to insert 8 channels on your access point. For example, if you do not want to use the interpretation from the Plexus system, but you have external sources for interpretation, you can insert them through Dante. Please be aware, we do have 2 versions. So we do have the access point with Dante, and we have also a more economical version without the Dante port. And then next to the Dante port, we do have still 2 analog in and out ports, so balanced in and balanced outputs. So that's about it for the connectivity on the access points. Of course, as I said, we made it very easy to deploy and set up. That means it's based, for example, on the Wi-Fi 5 standard. So it's easily, well, in fact, the system works in perfect harmony with any other Wi-Fi system, so that it can coexist without having to fight against each other. There's a clean channel manager that is always continuously looking for the most optimal channel. If there would be any interference detected, the self-healing channel switching will make sure that it will jump towards a channel that is available. Okay, then we do have also DFS channels available. So depending on your region, of course, sometimes you will have access to those DFS channels, these radar channels. So that can maximize your spectrum use in case the DFS channel is not yet used. There are also 3 antennas inside the access point and 2 on the unit itself. That means that we can increase the signal put, and that really improves the reliability of the signal. So that's what we call it in MIMO 3.2. Antenna diversity. So the issues you could have experienced in the past were due to specific room architectures where there is a lot of RF reflection. You could have distortion, multiple distortion. So that means that now with the antenna diversity, those issues will disappear. And as you can see, there is no external antenna on this access point. So it has an omnidirectional radiation pattern. So you don't have to worry about how to put or how to position this. The omnidirectional radiation pattern makes sure that you can just easily put it in the room. Okay, so all this together as a summary means that we have a reliable wireless communication system that can ensure also meeting continuity. Okay, I talked about security also. So security is becoming more and more important, and That's also something that we take care about. So the access point has a WPA2 enterprise-grade authentication. That means it has a radio server built inside, and it makes individual authenticated tunnels, encrypted tunnels, with each device individually. So there is no one general key for all units. We do have, let's say, encrypted tunnels for every single delegate unit. Battery management, also very important. So the discussion units can make use of the Confidea battery pack G4. It has an autonomy of 12 hours, and it's based on lithium-ion technology. So it has also a small button, as you can see, so that you can easily check the status of the battery. So if you push on it, you will see the starting state. Also, in each discussion unit, Flex and Go, there are two battery compartments. So that means that if 12 hours is not enough, you can add an additional battery, so to go up to 24 hours of autonomy. But there's even more. Due to the fact that there are two compartments, that means that we can offer, in fact, dual battery capability. So you can hot swap the battery while the unit is still alive. So you can keep the unit connected and still swap the battery. Okay. Then how to charge the batteries? Well, we do have the Confidea charging tray. That is rack mountable, first of all. It can allow you to charge 10 batteries at the same time. And it has a built-in web server. That means that you can easily monitor the charging status and the health of the batteries. In fact, you will have the possibility to charge the entire battery in 2 hours, but let's say in 60 minutes, in 1 hour, you have already 65% charging. Okay, so now let's discuss about the discussion unit itself. So we have the Flex and the Go, as I explained. Both of them have the same look and feel, so this contemporary modern look. We also made a very low profile. It means it's not, it has a low profile. It's quite subtle, so you can, if you put it on the table, it will not obstruct the view. It has a quality look and feel. So we have the base that is made of an alloy of zinc and aluminum. It's quite steady. And it makes it also very, stable. So we put a lot of effort in making sure that the unit keeps stable on the table. So even if you move around or if you bend the microphone, typically if you do this with a competitor product, then you will see that the units will quickly move around. With our design, we make it as stable as possible. Also, both units, the Flex and the Go, have a USB-C connector on the back. So that is not meant to charge the battery, but it's meant to keep the unit alive. So even if there is no battery inside, you can still power the unit by just connecting a power supply with USB-C. Both have also these microphone status LEDs on the back side. So you can easily see if the microphone is active or not. And then there are on both sides also a headphone connector to listen to the floor or a language in case of a Flex unit. Okay. The microphone connector, it's based on the USB-C connector. It's a very robust connector that is, in fact, easy to mount a microphone. So it's just by pushing this small button on the microphone that you can insert this microphone. That means you do not need to screw the microphone to the unit anymore. With this new type of microphone, you can just mount it and pull it out by pushing this small button on the microphone. That is not the only change. So also the capsule inside the microphone is a little bit bigger, and this offers even better intelligibility to this conference system. So that's all applicable on both the Confidea Go as the Confidea FLEX. Now, what are the differences? So let's maybe first start with the Confidea FLEX, which has an interactive display, as you can see, which allows you to, let's say, offer a lot of features, or even to upgrade if you add new licenses. So if we go into the Flex, you will see, of course, it has the microphone button with variable LEDs. So depending if it's a chairman or not, if it's dual use or not, you will see those button LEDs lighting up. There is a badge reader on the right side, so you can insert your RFID or NFC badge. It has a headphone connector, as I said already. It has this interactive display with fingerprint coating and also haptic feedback. So that means if you press on a button on this display, you will actually feel that you have pressed this button. Volume control, that's only visible when you insert a headphone. And then the tactile references towards the buttons. A little light sensor is also available to adjust your screen brightness to the ambient light. So what can you do with the display itself? Of course, you can configure a splash screen. So let's say a default image of your organization. You can also make sure that the name of the person, that in case of fixed seating, of course, that can appear on the display, so that anybody who enters the room can easily find his or her place. You can give some more explanation how to, in fact, enter the meeting in case it's not fixed seating, but when you need to enter the meeting with a badge, and RFID badge, so it just gives some guidance. And then for the chairperson specifically, there are also some meeting control functions on this unit. So of course you have the next in line button when there is a request list. You have the recording button, so you can start recording from this unit, and you can manage the agenda or the voting items from this chairperson unit. Then for the delegates specifically, also there we do have some specific interfaces. So for example, you will see who is speaking. You will see the agenda topic and the voting item. You can, of course, vote on this display and see the results afterwards. And so that's, that's of course all possible. Also, the speech timer is possible. You can see your own speech timer on this display. Now, what about the Confidea Go? So the Confidea Go is a more cost-effective unit without this interactive display. However, it does have a lot of features also. So first of all, we do have those tactile references from the Flex. It's the same. We do have the microphone button also with the variable LEDs. So it means if it's configured as a normal delegate, you will only see one LED lighting up, so the delegate LED. If it's configured as a chairperson unit, you will see on the left side the speak button, on the right side the prior button. If it's configured as a dual delegate unit, you'll have two delegate LEDs lighting up. Also, the headphone connector is there. Of course, with the headphone, you will not be able to listen to the different languages. You will only be able to listen to the floor. Okay. Then we have volume control. Again, when you put in your headphone, you will see the headphone or the volume control LEDs lighting up. And then we do have a small secret until lit LED indicator. So that means If it's configured as a chairperson, the next in line button will be available. So you don't have this interactive display, but there is a kind of secret until lit indicator. When it's configured, it will be available and you can push that area. Also, there is an indication when the battery is almost empty. So from, let's say, when there is no issue, nothing will appear. When the battery is, well, if there is if there is less than 1 hour of battery remaining, this icon will appear. Okay, so in general, it does have the same look and feel as the Confidea FLEX G4, but of course without the display. It's more cost-effective solution, so specifically for occasions where those, let's say, more advanced meeting features are not required. Let's say in terms of price, it's 20% more economical. It can also be used in combination with the other units. So we can mix and match, for example, with a Confidea FLEX for the chairperson who wants still to control the meeting, for example, for the recording and so on. Or you can also use it in a, say, Confidea FLEX G4 setup, where there are some participants that need to vote and where there are participants that will never require to vote. And so for those participants, you could also provide a Confidea GO. Also, for example, if you have a wired plexus setup with flush mount units, unicast units, or just wired Confidea FLEX units, you can easily add an access point and those Confidea GO units to complement a wired plexus room. In terms of availability, so it will be available as of July onwards, and it's already open for quotations. So the article number is already here. You have probably seen it already on the price list, so it's open for quotation. Just to conclude on the comparison of Confidea FLEX and Confidea GO. So both of them have those same push and lock microphone, the mic microphone. Both units are configurable as a chairperson or as delegates. So when the units are not powered, you will not see any difference, in fact. It has the same look and feel. When it's powered up and it's a chairperson, for example, you will see, or a delegate unit, you will see a difference. The next in line is possible for both FLEX and for the GO. It has the same hot swappable batteries, as I said. It has a USB power connection, so you can power the units without batteries. Both units have headphone connectors. And the license for dual delegates, that's the only license that is also possible for GO. So dual delegates is possible on FLEX and on GO. The other licenses, like voting, language selection for the interpretation, badge identification. So these three other licenses are not possible on Confidea GO and will never be possible on that. So if you buy a FLEX unit, you do not need to buy the license already, but you know that you're future-proof, that in the future you can always add those licenses when you want to vote or have languages or have badge identification. If you buy a GO unit, this will never be possible. So that's something you need to keep in mind. Some other items that are also not possible from the Confidea GO are, of course, the start and stop the recording from the chairperson unit. You can always configure a meeting to start with recording automatically, but it's not possible to start it from the Confidea GO. Also, agenda management, going through the different voting items or topics, is not possible from this GO unit. Yeah, there is no display, so you will not be able to show any logo, any name, any agenda topic. Also, no speech timer will be visible. And also, there is no haptic feedback available on the Confidea GO. So this is just a small table that gives a comparison. In general, they're quite similar, especially look and feel, but there are some small items that are not possible on the Confidea GO. Okay, so maybe let's go to a small demonstration. And I do have here two units next to each other. So I have here the Confidea FLEX, and here I have the Confidea GO. So as you can see, they're quite similar in look and feel. Along here, there is no display. Here you have the display, but if you look, for example, from the bottom, they both have the dual battery compartments. They do have both the same microphone connector, and they are, well, when the units are not powered up, it looks identical. Okay. So maybe I can go now to the Confidea interface. So here you see my my display. When I go to the technician page, you will see that when I look to, yeah, for example, here I see all the available channels. But when I look to the devices, you might not see it quite good, but here you see that now we have the Confidea GO available now on the overview of the devices. I can highlight, of course, the units, so you will see it also that here then the units will be highlighted. Sorry. And then when we, for example, go to licenses, we see that for the Confidea GO, it's not possible to select any voting license or any identification license. It's only possible to use the dual use license. So, for example, if I now activate this license here for a Confidea GO, you will see also now here that we do have both microphone buttons activated. So automatically when you activate this is visible here on the unit. So now I can, let's say, request the floor on the left button or request the floor on the right button. Okay. So that's about the licenses. So let's suppose we go back to a normal unit. And the standby screen, of course, is only possible for Confidea FLEX, so I cannot adjust here anything for Confidea GO. Diagnostics. So as I said, the name is different here. We see all the statuses of the batteries. I only have one battery in each unit. I see the amount of hours that's still available on each battery. And I can see if the signal quality is still okay. So all 4 units are available. So there's 2 visible here. I have 2 others next to me. Okay. So now it's in a request to speak. I can, of course, also change to direct speak. So that means that if I now press the microphone, you will have the floor automatically. If I request, I can, the chairperson needs to give me the floor. Okay. On the audio level, I can adjust headphone volume, speaker volume. I can change the auxiliary output levels, input levels, and even the auto gain reduction can be adjusted. In terms of role management, I'm now logged in as a technician. That means I can do everything. But there are 3 other roles that can be configured. So you have an operator and a chairperson. And depending on your specific situation, you can give a specific role more or less rights. So, for example, given right for activating the recording, voting, audio settings, and so on. The room layouts. So here we do have, well, we can get a small background picture, and that can be used for the synaptic view. If we look at the seats, well, we do have all the seats here and can easily put them on this picture here, so that it can be used later on by the operator to just activate, for example, a microphone unit. Recording. So there is internal recording and external recording. So the internal recording can record. There are 16 hours remaining, so there are up to 16 hours depending on your audio quality. So if you go even to lowest quality, there are 32 hours of recording internally. You can also have external recording with the USB, as I mentioned in the beginning of the webinar. And then if there are some, for example, meetings going, you can also have the reports of the meeting here afterwards. Okay, and so yeah, I showed you also the channels that are available. So here you can see all the available qualities, all the available channels with the corresponding quality. Now it's fixed on this one. If I would like to, let's say, fix a specific channel, I can exclude some channels here, so that will never be used. So I can really fix it on one specific one, or I can exclude some specific channels. Okay. So you see also the DFS channels. This can be used, well, depending on your region, of course. So this is about the technician page. Maybe go to the operator now. So the operator has this view. And for example, when I request the floor, and I'll go back to the view of my units. So, sorry, I will maybe first show you something else. As an technician, I can also change the units into other functionalities. So for example, we have here our delegate units, and we can edit the seat. So seat ID 4 is a Confidea GO. If I click here, I can turn this, sorry, I will make my screen bigger. So I will repeat, this is seat ID 4. When I click on edit seat, I can make this seat a chairperson unit. So I will edit this one. And now if you look here to the units itself, you will see that my Confidea GO unit has turned from a normal delegate unit towards a chairperson unit. So that means you have the speak button, the prior button, but also now the request to speak button. So suppose a delegate wants to speak, so he's in the request list. You will see automatically that the color changes from white into green. So the chairperson knows that there is somebody who requests the floor. So it's a small indication to know, okay, somebody requested the floor. Then I press the button and automatically the person that is on top of the request list will get the floor. So in terms of functionality for, let's say, normal discussions in a conference room, the Confidea GO can be used even in a chairperson setting. Okay. And then I'll just go quickly back to the operator view to finalize. So here again, you can see all the units on your screen, and Confidea GO and Confidea FLEX, it's all mixed. So it doesn't matter what type of unit it is, you can all use them here, activate or deactivate microphones from here. Okay, so that's about it for the demonstration. Let's go back to the presentation. In fact, as a summary, we wanted to show you, in fact, the entire G4 system and put some more details on the Confidea GO that we're about to release. I don't know at this stage if there are already some questions, and I see we have quite a lot of them. So let me go through some of your questions. So first of all, let's start on top. So the first question, is it possible to combine Flex and Go in one system? Yes, this is of course possible. How fast is the clean channel manager, and how fast can you switch? What's the threshold? So it's really seamless. So you will never notice this. So it's not really one trigger, as already mentioned. It's a combination of different items. So, but the conclusion is, in fact, you will not notice this, and the clean channel manager will do the switching behind the scenes. The number of units, yeah, that's a good question. So same as for the Confidea FLEX G4, it's 128 units that you have available that can be connected on one access point. Of course, you can combine, for example, 2 access points on a Plexus AER, and then you can extend your system towards 2 times the setup. Then when will the N-1 option be available in Confidea for interpretation, which is absolutely necessary for meetings in hybrid systems? So the N-1, if you combine it with an external system, this audio routing is available. So if I did not show, I will maybe show you quickly here. When we look to the audio routing configurations, we do have distance conferencing, which makes it possible for floor. So that's already available. Oh, sorry, I now read it's for interpretation. Okay, so that's another question. We'll come later back on that one with regard to interpretation. But for normal discussions or integrations with an external system, that's possible. So what about eavesdropping? So how to make sure that the audio signal is only transmitted to the access point? So we do have a very strong authentication and encryption system. So it's WPA2 enterprise grade. So that's applied. That's, I think, very strong encryption already. And that means that, well, eavesdropping, of course, is to the minimum reduced. Can we combine Confidea WAP G4 with Unite access points on the same system? That's possible, but then, of course, on audio level, so through the Dante interface. So you can, of course, use them together in one setup, but they use different technologies, so it's not that they have similar, that you can combine to one access point. Okay, so yeah, can I have more than one access point in the system? Yes, as I said, we can combine 2 access points in one system, but then again, you need a Plexus AER, so a Plexus central unit, where you need to combine both access points on the Plexus ports. Yeah, on the Confidea Go, is there some indication that the unit is correctly and securely linked to the access points? So on the Flex, you have you have some animation, and you have something that is making sure that you know that it's connected to the access point. How is it done with the Confidea Go? I did not show it today, but there is in fact also a small indication. So when you see nothing, that means that it is paired, so it's connected to an access point. During startup, when it is searching for its connection, when it's connecting to the access point, you will see a small Wi-Fi icon lighting up that will be blinking until the pairing process is done. So it's just a small indication, but at least you will know if there is no connection or if it's connecting. There will be an indication of a small icon next to the battery icon that I showed you. Can I use Confidea Go without connecting a microphone, or will it show an error? No, you can always use, of course, and can always announce the microphone. It will still work. Then a question about Cocon. Is it compatible with Cocon? Confidea FLEX and GO are both compatible with Cocon, but then again, you need a Plexus AER in between to make the connection with Cocon. Then are there different types of microphones available? So yeah, at this stage, we do have one single type of microphone, the mic, of course, in different lengths. We have the low profile microphone. So, but that's the current status. So indeed, let us know if there is specific need for another type, like hypercardioid only. Give us more insights. You can always drop us an email afterwards. Maximum number of chairperson microphones or chairperson units that can be used on a system. Yeah, there is no real limitation on number of chairperson units. It's really the limitation is on the number of units that can speak together. So in G4, at least 2 chairpersons can always speak, and then the rest is depending on the number of delegates that can speak at the same time. So the number of open microphones. Will there be a less expensive G4 access point only configured for Go within specific software? At this stage, no. So we do have one access point that can combine both. So that's not on the roadmap to have other access points for Go specifically. Is there haptic feedback? Sorry, is there haptic feedback under the next in line button in the Go? No. So as I explained, there is no haptic feedback at all on the Confidea Go. If you press a button, you will see the light will slightly dim, so you know that you have pressed the button, but there is no vibration that can be noticed. Does it support attendance registration, and do we need to procure or any additional license or software for that? So as I said, the Confidea Go does not have batch authentication or batch identification, so there is no batch reader inside. You can always in the software say that somebody is sitting specifically on a seat, so when the meeting starts, then that person will be automatically seated on this discussion unit. And afterwards in the report, you will see that that person was in that meeting. So in that sense, it will appear in the attendance list. But it's not possible when you have free seating that you can just sit wherever you want, and that afterwards it's possible to see if somebody was there. Yeah, could you show, okay, that's a more a do question. Can you show the volume control when you put the jack of the headphone in it? Yes. So I will take my headphone here. I do have here my Confidea Go. I have here my headphone connector. And for example, I put in my headphone, you will see the volume control here appearing. So when I remove it again, it will be gone. Okay. Cost-wise, which is cheaper, the wired or wireless? Still, the wired is cheaper, of course. That's due to the technology. But let's say in general, the FLEX GO G4 is 20% cheaper than the Confidea FLEX G4. Does it work with FLEX's MME or just AR? Of course, also MME. I always mention AR, but it's in fact, you can combine the access points, so the G4 access point, with both MME or AER. What's the autonomy of the battery for the Confidea Go units? So there also we talk about 12 hours, so we keep it quite simple. Of course, the display will consume a little bit more than just a normal one, but that's not the biggest consumption of the battery. So in general, we keep the 12 hours autonomy on in general. Does it support automatic video camera tracking with presets? Yes. So there again, we benefit from all the features from the G4 system. So when you press the button, there is also a camera protocol that can be consulted for an external camera tracking system. If you use TCAM or if you use Confidea, of course, also there it will be compatible. So Go or Flex both are compatible with camera tracking. Then more future question, can we expect an update to the Wi-Fi 6 in the future? So this is not immediately on the roadmap, but of course we are always looking and investigating the newest technology. And that's about it. The number of open microphones allowed simultaneously. So here we can go up to 8. So that's for all wireless system. Okay. All right. So that's about it, I think. If there would be any additional question, or you can still type them, we can answer them. Or you can always drop a small email afterwards. Both the recording and the, let's say, the recording of this presentation will be made available towards you after this webinar. But also on our website, you will be able to see the recording afterwards. So it will be just publicly available. You just go to the support page on our website and then click on webinars, and then you will see all the past webinars, and you can always look at them afterwards. Okay, so I would just like to thank you all for attending this webinar. I hope you are as excited as I am about the introduction of our newest member of the G4 family. And I hope to see you back very soon with our new webinar in the future. Thank you. Bye-bye.